But first off, I'm going to tell a story about something that I think is relevant as we look at things like Media Over Quick. This was, so for those of you who don't know, I work for YouTube on the live team. We handle a lot of things. We handle everything from broadcast television through desktop all the way down to someone with a mobile phone. Our goal is to basically give the people a voice and let them show us the world. We want to do that in the quality that they desire. Some of them lean in and want to have like a production studio, and other of them lean back and want to have a casual mobile experience. So we basically, a number of years ago, were looking at how can we allow regular creators to send us 4K HDR video at high frame rate. So just as you think about this problem, we could do this. We could serve it to them as long as we could get it, but we had no way to get it. So what I want to talk to you today is about that ingestion, what I'm going to call ingestion protocol from my point of view, what some of you might know as a contribution protocol. All right, so we looked around, this is about 2018, end of 2018, early 2019, and we were going, hey, we'd like to do 4K, but no one can send it to us. So we started thinking about this problem, and we started looking at the landscape. So at that time, and still, a vast majority of desktop-related ingestion is driven by RTMP. The other common protocol, especially for both mobile devices, it's what you use for web conferencing, is WebRTC. Talk to Luke about how much fun it is to work with WebRTC. And so we were looking at this, and we said, enhanced RTMP, really no one is maintaining it. And so what are we going to do? All right, let's try something new. Let's use HLS. Everyone's using that for delivery. Seems to be a regional thing to do. So we did HLS. So we support HLS in. How wonderful. The problem is that no one used it. So we went around and we started talking to creators. Hey, you could do 4K HDR. Wouldn't you love to do that? And they're like, I've set up my encoder. I know how it works. I'm really nervous about changing. So as we were thinking about this, we're like, okay, I understand these creators. First off, they're not technology people. They're just like, I want to stream. And so what am I going to do? So we asked the question, how can we get them to move? Well, the only way we were going to get them to move is if we did something with RTMP. The problem with RTMP is that it was developed back in 2002 for Flash. Flash doesn't exist anymore. It was developed by Adobe for a particular business, Adobe acquired the company that developed it. And it isn't part of the Adobe business even yet, but Adobe owns all the patents. And so we were like, well, we could just try to do something. I doubt Adobe will come after us. But then, our lawyers weren't happy with that solution. Nor was I happy with the idea that there was going to be a YouTube version of RTMP, a TikTok version of RTMP, a Twitch version of RTMP. That would have been a nightmare for everybody. So instead, what we did is we went out and dug up a bunch of people that were ex-Macromedia people that had relations to the right people in Adobe. We also reached out to people that you would know at Meta, people that you would know at Twitch, and started talking with them and said, hey, do you want to join us in changing RTMP? And so in the end, we basically convinced Adobe, a bunch of ex-Macromedia people, and Twitch and ourselves have essentially formed an open source group called VO Vera to modify RTMP. And we also then reached out to, if you want to certainly change the desktop, space, you have to change OBS, and if you want to change the rest of the ecosystem, you need to talk to the FFmpeg people. And so that's what we did. We went out, we worked with them, we got a new spec out, we got it adopted into RTMP and launched it. The whole point of doing this, though, is you had to make it really, really easy, not just for transparent to creators, but also really super easy for developers. So really what it is we've just added a little 4-bit thing for doing the codec. We basically extended the headers a little bit. So FLV is the actual place where data runs, and then RTMP is just where the metadata goes, and so we had to change both of them. And so what we did in the beginning is we added support for HEVC, we added support for VP9, we added support for AV1, and we added support for HDR. So again, it's actually a very simple enhancement, but the key is it was backwards compatible, and it was absolutely transparent to the creators. That actually makes a problem of how do you know that, okay, I've called it something new and I put it into these systems, but if no one's taking advantage of it, then it really isn't having impact. So there'll be a talk by Nicole Kwa at Mile High Video talking about the adoption. I'm not going to steal her talk, so go and watch Nicole. I will say, though, it's been a success. And I'll pop here. So I wasn't sure if it would show up on the monitor, so I skipped the slides, but I can show any of you if you want on my laptop. We did a frame-by-frame comparison of HEVC coming in at 10 megabits per second for a 4K stream. And we also did an HEVC, we did an AV1 version, 10 megabits per second, 4K. In one, all the background is blurry, you're even missing buildings, and in the other, it's a crisp, sharp picture. Why 10 megabits per second? Because many creators are capped in terms of their upload at 10 megabits per second. So, if you want to send us something at 40 megabits per second, the codec probably isn't as important, but once you start having network constraints, being able to do AV1 is an absolute massive win. All right, so we certainly did codecs, we certainly did HDR, that was one of our goals. Both Twitch and us became very interested in, actually Colleen at Meta really wanted us to do something with Reconnect, which was a great idea. So the idea of Reconnect, if you're sending something for people operating in a data center, if you're sending information to a node in a data center and that node needs maintenance, you're going to shut them down and turn them off. For YouTube, we have streams that run for multiple years, up to 10 years, and I'm not going to wait until that stream is over. So therefore, we need some way to basically tell them, hey, at your next convenient opportunity, reconnect to the service. Okay, so that's Reconnect. The other thing that we did we did version 1 that basically had that. We've rolled out with version 2. Version 2 also includes multi-track video. So Twitch uses this for allowing someone to send them the ABR ladder. So basically, they go in and they configure the creator system so the creator can send an entire ABR ladder, so they can still have the advantages of ABR without Twitch having to do the transcoding. For us, because we always transcode, what we're interested in is multi-aspect streaming. So you can send us a vertical and a horizontal and a vertical, and we can take that in on the same feed, so the audio is synchronized, the timestamps are synchronized, and suddenly it doesn't matter what device a viewer is watching on, they get the appropriate aspect ratio in the way that the creator wanted to. So that is our goal for you know, some of the things that we put into OBS so far, and there's more coming. Not OBS, in enhanced RTMP, and there's more coming. What does that mean, though, as we're looking at Twitch? The obviously espresso's wearing off. What does that mean as we look at media over quick? So we've enhanced RTMP, but that's just putting a Band-Aid on a problem. And to be honest, we didn't want to do it because RTMP is so old, right? But we had to in order to get the adoption. But what does that mean as we look at media over quick as not a serving protocol, but as a contribution protocol or an ingestion protocol? The lesson we learned here is you need to make it easy for the creator to move. They need to have all the features that they expect, and there needs to be something compelling for them to make the change. So as we're working on mock, we need to keep that in mind. Don't forget the adoption side, because then you'll have a wonderful, wonderful protocol that no one will ever use. Thank you.